Everybody else good on what? Is that on?
flimsy. I feel like it may fall if someone moves this. Do you just want to set it down on the deal?
Are you guys okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to get it to where it will. You want to make sure it sounds all right? Yeah. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Good. All right. Everyone have good sound? Everyone good?
Well, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate everyone showing up and being here to show support, not only for our new police chief, but for the police department and for our community. I want to thank first Chief Gorley. I was thankful that he came in and was here today. I walked over earlier and told him to do something. He said, "You can't tell me what to do." So I think we know that we're going into a transition here. But I really do appreciate Wade's leadership for the organization. He's been with the department 35 years. He was police chief for 5 years, and cannot thank him enough for his leadership, for what he's done through us. He led us through some of the toughest time our community has experienced, and he led it well, led it with integrity, took a lot of shots, he took a lot of pressure for the whole department, and I really do appreciate the way that he's led. And more than that, I appreciate his friendship. So thank you, Wade. Really appreciate you. We're really here this morning. I want to talk just a minute about our hiring process that we went through, just to give you some feel for what we've gone through. But we hired a consultant to work with us, and it's a consultant that's been involved in selection processes for many law enforcement executive searches throughout the country, and we worked with them through the process. They engaged with multiple community leaders, diverse group of community leaders, and engaged with them and worked with them to get feedback on what we want from our new police chief and what we want to be doing from the police department for the community going forward. And so we took that information and incorporated that not only in the brochure that went out, but as we went through the interview process, we incorporated those values and what was really important to the community. And so that engagement, that involvement, that input, those contributions really helped us in the process and will help us as we plan going forward with the onboarding with our new chief. Some of the characteristics and the traits that came out, and this is just a few, but being engaging, being strategic, being inspirational, and being a champion for continuous improvement. The feedback was very valuable to us, and I appreciate the engagement and involvement from the community that's so interested in what happens in the leadership in our department. Choosing the chief is a tough job. It's one of the toughest jobs that I have, one of the most important jobs that I have as city manager. And I took it very seriously. And so as we engaged through this, Jason Fairbrush, our assistant city manager over public safety, is with me here. He's been with me all the way through the process and really led this process. And we took it very seriously, and we were very careful going through this, not looking to make a change, but looking to make sure that we get the best candidate. And so we did a national search, and we had great candidates, both internal and external to the organization, that were important for us to review, and all of those candidates did well. We had several that rose to the top, that all of them would have been great chiefs of police, and we wanted to make sure that we had the right chief of police for the city of Oklahoma City, for the Oklahoma City Police Department, for the entire community. And that was something that we went through and took very seriously, and I appreciate the work and really the patience as we were going through this. Wade agreed to stay on during this time so we didn't have a lot of transition issues, and that we can have a clean transition from one chief to the next, and I really appreciate that. As we went through this process, As I said, several candidates rose to the top, but there's one candidate in particular that came out on the top, and that was Ron Basie. Ron is a 32-year employee of the city. Ron is a great leader for our organization. He actually came to the department in 1992, and in that time he started off in Spring Lake, and then he's just, through the years of his career, risen up within the organization and received promotions and opportunities. And in 2019, he became a major, was assigned to the Southwest Division. In 2021, he became a deputy chief and has served in many different roles as deputy chief. Ron has been engaged in the community in many different ways, serving on boards and volunteering. He's led through the community, not just within the organization, but just in his engagement and living in the community, just like you and me as a resident of Oklahoma City. And so I really appreciate his leadership. I appreciate him going through the process and all those that went through the process with us. Just a little bit of background with Ron. He graduated high school from Del City High School. He's got a bachelor's degree from the University of Oklahoma in law enforcement management and administration. He has a criminal justice administration degree, master's in criminal justice administration from the University of Central Oklahoma. He has led through our organization. He's established himself as a leader. And I think when I look at Ron, I know that Ron is a proven leader. He is committed and passionate about leading the dedicated men and women of this police department. And he is passionate about serving our community. When I think about Ron and I think about the values of this organization, of the Oklahoma City Police Department, of integrity, compassion, accountability, respect, and equity, Ron Basie epitomizes those qualities. And I am grateful and I appreciate his willingness to do this. And I want to ask you to join me in welcoming Ron Basie as the 51st Police Chief of the Oklahoma City Police Department.
Thank you, Craig. First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I am beyond humbled and yet very proud to be given this honor to lead such an amazing group of men and women. We have what I believe to be the finest police department in the country. It is made up of wonderful individuals, both professional staff and sworn personnel, dedicated to helping us grow this city and keep it safe and provide the best environment for the residents of Oklahoma City. I want to start off by addressing Chief Wade Gorley. You have been a mentor, you've been a friend, and we will be forever in your debt for where you've taken this police department. We are light years ahead of where we were prior to your leadership. You've been innovative in your thinking, and most importantly, you displayed a great amount of passion and care towards all the employees and their wellness, and that will never be forgotten. And I hope that I can continue that and live up to your expectations for me and the investment that you placed in me. So if you would, please just give him a round of applause. I want to thank the residents of Oklahoma City. We have probably the best city in the country. That's probably one of the best kept secrets, but it won't be a secret for very long. We're doing great things in this city. People are starting to recognize that. The big events are coming. This is an amazing place filled with wonderful people. And I have to thank this community that has always supported this police department. Through all of the things that we've been through, we look at what we have as probably a very unusual relationship with our community. We have an approval rating that is somewhere along 69%, which is far above the national average. So we couldn't be here and do the things that we do for this community without the community support. So I want to thank all the stakeholders who were involved in lending their voice to the hiring process, but for what you do for our community on a regular basis to make it, again, one of the best cities in the country. No one stands here or no one gets here by themselves. So Ron Basie, I appreciate all the kind words, but Ron Basie didn't accomplish any of those things by himself. I've had an amazing team of family, friends, coworkers, and peers who have supported me and, more importantly, corrected me along the way. I'll be forever grateful for their investment. I will ask for their continued prayers and guidance as I look forward towards the future. Again, I am extremely humbled at this opportunity. I will give 100% of my effort towards making this, again, the finest police department in the country. So I thank you for your time, and I will open it up for any questions you may have.
So we're going to have about 10 minutes for questions. There'll be opportunities after that and later, but if we can do about 10 minutes of questions, that'd be good.
Chief, why do you think you are best fit for this role?
I won't say that I am the best fit for this role. I think that does a disservice because under Chief Gorley's leadership, especially internally, several of us could have stepped up into this position and done it. What I will say is that I believe in divine intervention, and I believe that if God leads me somewhere, that's his call, and it's my job to follow and obey and lean on prayer. And so I tell people sometimes you're so worried about what you're walking into, you forget who you're walking in with. And so I would say that I care about people. I care about the people who work here. I care about the people we're responsible for and responsible to. And so I would say what makes me a fit for this career, you have to be a servant leader for this career. This is not a job, this is a calling. And so when you're called to do this and you do it for the right reasons, I think you're fit to serve, you're fit to lead, and I ask God for his continued support through this process.
Chief, is this your official first day? And what do you see for the future of Oklahoma City Police Department, and what is your number one priority?
I would say this. Am I getting paid today?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. This is my.
Yes.
You'll have to forgive me. I have a wonderful sense of humor. Yes, today is my official day, and my future for the police department and what my priority is are kind of aligned. It's always going to be relationships. Relationships with the community, relationships with all the stakeholders, relationships with our employees, because you can't move forward if you don't have those established relationships and hear the voices and the needs and work together collaboratively to accomplish our mutual goals. So.
Chief, you made comments about mental health crisis resources. What do you think could be improved or changed from what the department's already doing?
So that's a great question. And I'll answer that by stating that we have the public safety partnership that was developed, and we recognize that mental health or behavioral health, as you would, are not issues that are specific to the police department. We're not always the subject matter expert. So as a city, we have worked with a large group of shareholders who have a vested stake in providing best outcomes. So we have the Crisis Intervention Advisory Group that guides the city as a whole on resources. We're working on alternative response models in the very near future. The fire department is part of that process. And so what we're looking forward to with mental health is providing the best response for each individual situation with the hope of the best potential outcome, but not doing that alone. I think it's very important that the police department responds to things that require the police department, but in other areas, let the subject matter experts handle it when it's appropriate.
What about recruitment? Is that one of your top priorities, bringing on new officers?
Absolutely. Look, that's a national crisis. Everyone's having trouble with recruitment. Again, I stated this earlier. This isn't a job. This isn't a career. This is a calling. You have to have the right people with the right heart who want to serve the community to do this job. And you have to filter through a lot of things to determine who those people are. But it is a passion. So as you lead into that, if you're out there and you have a servant heart and that you believe that you can serve this community and do the right things for the right reasons, we're hiring. Please reach out to our recruiting unit. We'd love to have you.
You talked about relationships and how that's your biggest priority, but what does that look like? How do you go about strengthening relationships?
You know, that's a multifaceted question. I met with several of the shareholders this morning before we had this press conferences. As a leader or just as a person in general, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you're supposed to listen. And I'll tell you that listen has the same letters as silent. And so you have to be able to engage those people who have a voice in the community and figure out what their concerns are and when and where you can help. And so just regular meetings, you have to identify who the stakeholders are. A lot of times there are voices that aren't heard as we think we know stakeholders. I'm very open to finding out those people who are invested in helping us move forward in our progress, any progress we can make in our community to make life better for all residents of Oklahoma City.
When you started as a recruit, as a new officer, did you ever expect to see yourself achieve one day?
I just wanted to make it through the training, to be honest with you. And no, this is not anything I've ever envisioned for myself. It's one of those things that as my career progressed and opportunities presented themselves, I availed myself of those opportunities at times, and sometimes you have to fight that inner voice and listen to that bigger voice. And so, no, that's why I'm so humbled, because this is not anything I would have ever envisioned for myself. And I say to the men and women of the Oklahoma City Police Department, as you're coming and going up throughout your careers, never limit yourselves. We have amazing people in our group that I think can lead this department and this community in several different ways. And so it's a challenge to them as well, that someday you're going to stand on platforms that you didn't anticipate, and all that hard work pays off, and we're here to support you to get to that point.
Chief, as an African American, can you speak to that? Speak for the Black community of Oklahoma City and the importance of your position in our community?
So there isn't one voice for African Americans, and I think the mistake that's often made is we misrepresent or misidentify leaders. And you offend a lot of people when you select this person as a role model or a spokesperson for a group of people. I can tell you as an African American male that it impacts my job only in the sense that I have seen the world through 2 lenses. And I can meet people where they are. I can understand both points of view, but it's not limited to just African American community. I mean, we can't forget just several of the stakeholders this morning. They deal with mental health, autism, people with substance abuse issues. You know, we know the city is dealing with homeless issues, and we have a huge initiative as a city to address that with resources. So I think what I represent is just a person that cares about everyone and wants to do everything I can to work with the stakeholders to make sure we're providing the type of community that helps people heal and move in the right direction.
In 2021, the department shared a post about you during Black History Month that spoke a little bit about your experience growing up with, you know, your first interaction with an officer that didn't go as well, and then another interaction later on where another officer had encouraged you to apply for OUPD. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
I'll commend you. You did your research on that. Yes. I'll be brief. I'm known to be long-winded at times, but I did have negative law enforcement contact on a couple of occasions, which really kind of maybe shaped a perception in my head of law enforcement in general. I was 18 years old. It's shortly after graduating from high school and prior to going to college, and really kind of honed in on something Chief Gorley says all the time. There are thousands, if not millions, of encounters with law enforcement every day. And every encounter creates a story. And they tell those bad stories for generations. And I was one of those people who had, that's one encounter that you know about. But later in college, I had yet again another negative encounter with law enforcement. They were justified in approaching me in the manner in which they did. And again, listen and silent have the same letters, and they did both. And they realized that I was not the person they were looking for, and they vindicated me and saw something in me in a suspect interview, actually, that made them think that I had potential, and they basically recruited me to work. And I worked for the University of Oklahoma's police department in a non-sworn position for 2 years before I got here. And so I say that to say that what sometimes could seem as a bad start to something could have endless potential and possibilities for everyone. So these encounters are important. These experiences are important. They've shaped me in how I've policed the community over the years, and I've never forgotten those things. And I want to thank you for bringing that up, because it helps me to remember where I came from and what I need to do.
Well, thank you all so much. We really appreciate you being here again. And just again, congratulations and welcome to Ron Basie.
This has